it's Gwen and I'm back today with another scrapbooking process video. Today's share is episode 25 of the Maggie Holmes Monday series that I've been doing along with Sarah Scraps. I am scrapbooking myself today and it's a bit of a ballet theme. I'm using this cut file from Cut to You to help me, and I'm digging really deep into my stash for this one. This, my friends, is a box of random Maggie Holmes supplies, all kinds of bits and pieces from all kinds of collections. There are some things that are grouped in collection like Chasing Dreams, but it's not any of the packs that are like that. It's not really enough to make a full layout. It's supplies that I know I'll have to add something to be able to finish off a project. And if I'm really honest, it's a box of supplies that I've kind of been avoiding because it sometimes feels like it's too hard because nothing works, but I kind of in my mind I feel like nothing works. I don't have a full collection. I've only got bits and pieces. How am I going to pull something together out of this random lot? So I am proper stash busting for this layout. I do have a bit of a plan. I did go in with a strategy of sorts, all ballet themed because my photo is ballet. And I did know that I had a couple of pattern papers in the collections there that did have little ballerinas on them. So I thought, let's be literal and let's put ballerina paper with a ballerina photo. And because I have so many embellishment random bits and pieces to manage in my mind, I didn't want to have to come up really with like a layout design. So I'm using this cut file. It's just a really basic grid and it's going to be the framework for the layout. I'm simply going to start by backing each cube in a different pattern paper, and you could do this lots of ways. I have found for me personally that if it's a 4x4 grid, I'm best using 4 different types of pattern paper, or if it's a 5x5 grid, 5 different pattern papers or more. So you could do 5 papers on a 4x4 grid, 6 papers on a 5x5 grid. But if you go less than the number of squares, I'm hoping this makes sense. So if you went less than 4 in this sample, you would make it harder for yourself just to randomize the patterns, because you don't want 2 patterns to be sort of side by side, and you want them to feel like they're random, but you want to be strategic about where you put them. I hope all that makes sense. So the initial plan was to back all the boxes and then pull out elements from my stash here to decorate each separate box. But as I was sort of thinking about that, I just thought that it would be too much for me to manage, like just too many separate elements to try and coordinate. So I actually kind of scrap lifted myself a little bit. There was a layout that I did for Yes Please Paper Crafts a little while back, and it used this same cut file grid design, and I thought, you know what, let's take out yet another element, let's worry about one less thing and do a bit of a scrap lift, a bit of a retake on that layout, and hopefully that will help all the rest of it come together more easily for me. So for that layout, I had my photo on the right, just as I have here. I have mounted this one and also added some stitching around the edge. I've mirrored that stitching around the edge of the layout as well. And I'm going to end up with a title at the bottom of the photo and then an embellishment cluster that's like a main cluster that's going to be in the bottom right-hand corner of the photo. I did initially think I was going to use the word dreams there as my title, but I found that it was a bit heavy for my liking and it wasn't telling the story that I wanted to tell for my photo. I found though this packet of their thickers, it's like a bunch of titles and there's cute little hearts and all sorts. Have not even opened this packet of thickers. So I thought, why not go with those? And the title's going to be Sweet Memory. I'm going to position memory flat to the background of the layout, and I will take the page away in a moment here and add some stitching. So I've done 2 rows there just to secure that in place. I do find that those puffy alphas in time can lose their sticky, so I do like to add the stitching. I like the look of it anyway, so it's kind of win-win. The photo is going to go above that, and then the word sweet is going to sort of nestle, hopefully, in along the bottom edge of the photo there. And then this flower element is going to nestle in next to the Y in memory. I am going to add back in the super cute little banner piece here. Yeah, I don't know any of the collections that these have come from. As I said, they're all random bits and pieces. If it was in that box, I dug it out. There may even be, to be honest, there may even be a little bit of crate paper mixed in, but it's all stash busting. It's all counted as good, and I really love how it all comes together. It's really, it's a lovely page for a page that wasn't easy for me. So I'm just going to really build the page out from here. That's my bones all locked into position. And now every other element that I add is going to be like a supporting element. Oh yes, I do find this packet of unopened puffy hearts. Cannot believe that I haven't used those. I do think though, in my defense, that it was a second pack. I think I'd already used up the first whole packet, and that was the second packet. It does end up on the layout, does not stay where it is currently, but I do find a home for it. And then I break all my own rules, and when I talk about not getting overwhelmed by supplies, I go ahead and pull out more supplies. Oh my goodness. This is another random box of chipboard and ephemera that I have all sorts of Maggie. Also, I think there's crepe paper in here as well. And I was just really thinking that it needed some extra paper layers. So I do go through there and I do find an extra couple of pieces of things to put on the layout. And you can see there too that I switched out the tag. I found that that green one was a bit dark, a bit heavy. So I did switch it out with a black and white one, and I just feel like that goes better with the pattern papers that I've used in the background and sort of ties them to my photo. I find I do have to switch things out from time to time like that, just to make the page feel a little bit more cohesive. Speaking of switching things out, I do end up adding the little center there to that top floral die cut. That's from a Prima flower. I have not used Prima flowers on my layout for the longest time. I found this pack. It was a really nice matching color. I went with the soft green because it matched the green on the frame of the layout perfectly. I feel like it then kind of pulls in more of the green leaves, which I've added at the top of the photo there as well. So I've kind of got 3 loose spots of green. I've got a couple of focal points now with the cameras that I had fussy cut from pattern paper, and it's feeling more put together now. There's a flow about the page that I'm happier with at this point. So I am getting there. I'm so glad I joined Sarah on this series. I've made 25 layouts so far, all stash busting Maggie supplies. I'm now getting to a point where I'm really thinking about what's left and whether I'm going to keep it all, if I'm perfectly honest. There's still a lot of stash. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to physically use it up. Maybe it's time for me to choose my favorite pieces and just keep those, and maybe donate the supplies that I really don't think I'm ever going to get to. I'm going to add some extra stitching here in a moment and call the layout done. If you like the way that I scrapbook or the way that I chat about the way that I scrapbook, I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for being here, my creative friends. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, bye.